The two-year acting program at the Maggie Flanigan Studio is a professional training program based on the Meisner technique, the life work of Sanford Meisner. In this interview, Caleb talks about training at the studio after working professionally for more than 15 years.
Yeah, that sounds like me a little over a year ago. You know, I was kind of on a I don't know what to call it. Maybe like I was on not a path that I really enjoyed. I was working, you know, I could book a job. I'd been on a lot of auditions. I know the industry. I know how to go in and sell myself, and that, to me, that's where I was coming from. You know what I mean? I need to go in and sell myself rather than let me have this part. You know, let me get these sides or the script and really break it down and have a process, and then, you know, there's great Al Pacino quote, you know, and on auditioning, and he said he would go in and you know, he gets the script and prepares, and you know, he obviously has a great process, and takes it in the room and does what he does, and that's how Al Pacino does it. And if you want it, pay for it. If you don't, he's going to go to the next thing, you know. And that to me was so inspiring, because I don't think I've ever done that. I would always gone in and been like, yeah, okay, you know, and like very, you know, some days I would have confidence, some days I wouldn't. It's such a crapshoot when you're working like that, you know what I mean? And I got to a place where, even though I'd had training a little bit, you know, I'd had some Adler, I'd had some Method, I'd had some Meisner, I knew everything about the overview of acting and the techniques involved, you know, even some of the like more obscure stuff, but it didn't translate into working, you know what I mean? You got to work out every day if you want muscles. So, and this is a muscle, really, you know. And I would get on set. And I've been on set with some really profound actors, Oscar winners, you know. And I would sit across next to them, wherever the scene was blocked, and leave that day feeling like I didn't get fired. So that was like a good day, you know. And I never got fired, but I was never going to inspire either. I was never going to fire anyone up. And if you're not in art ultimately to do anything, if you're in art to do anything other than that, which is create something that's going to connect with people and really go in and give your best, and train to give your best, then you're in it for the wrong reasons ultimately. You know what I mean? Because there's easier ways to make money. And I would recommend, you know, if you're on the fence, if you've trained a little bit, or you read a book, or you know, you've done a reading or a couple episodes or whatever, but you're on the fence about, like, could you go and play a major part on theater boards, or, you know, get in with a group that's being helmed by Scorsese or somebody amazing, you know, gritty directors, you know, then you need training. You know, you really have to, because the things are going to be thrown at you on set that you're going to have to figure out, and charm isn't going to work very long. You know, I know that. And you know, if you're okay making money, you got your part, and you just say your lines, then fine, that's cool. You know, do your thing. But like, if you really care about being a great artist or having any kind of impact in the industry beyond another pretty face, you know, then you're gonna have to train. You're gonna have to put your time in. And I again, like, I'm a martial artist. Ultimately, I came from the martial arts world, and this is, I think, a good metaphor. Probably the only metaphor I have that's pretty good. But you know, there's a lot of brawlers out there who watch the UFC and they say to themselves, I could do that, you know. And okay, you're a brawler. You get thrown in with a black belt in a cage. You know, like somebody who's trained, who's dedicated their entire life to it. They wake up early, they eat right, they mentally train themselves to be tough under circumstances that are not easy to stay tough in. You know, everybody has a plan until they got hit, you know. And they live their entire day, day after day, as a fighter. You're gonna, you know, you get locked in a cage with somebody like that, it's gonna show immediately, you know, that who's the black belt and who's the wannabe, really, you know what I mean? And I see acting as no different, you know. You can charm your way into a role. You can charm your way into a role or whatever, you know. Now it's all about, like, you got a big Instagram following, and some producer out there is going to give you some money to get some eyeballs and make a little money himself, whatever, you know. But there's not going to be any value in it, you know. I think if you're thinking that this is easy or that you don't need training, that you can just jump on stage or on set with a real actor, a great actor who can take notes and incorporate them immediately, who lives spontaneously, who crafts deeply and richly and subtly, and is not afraid of anything, particularly on set. That's the pressure cooker. When the camera's on, they said action. That's not the time to figure it out, And I think a lot of people have that idea of acting, that's I'll just learn it on set. I'll learn as I go, and on the job. The only place you can do that now is the presidency. No, I'm just kidding. But I don't recommend it. I think if you want to really be an artist and be respected by your peers, which is ultimately what I'm after, you gotta train. I've been in the industry for a while, 15 years, and I've been on both coasts. I've worked on sets and been to a lot of big schools, and Maggie Flanigan's studio. It's for me, not only it's the standard, because the standard is second to none, but it's the passion, really, about every aspect of acting, from the history of film and theater to, Charlie now really being the one carrying the torch for the Meisner technique in America, coming down from the group and Meisner and how it was all developed, and Charlie's the one with that now. So to be in class with him as much as I have been, it feels like just such an authentic experience of acting training in New York, The standard at Maggie Flanigan's studio is absolutely second to none. It's honestly for me the highest bar I've ever been put up against, and the faculty, not only obviously some Maggie Flanigan alumni, that have been trained by Maggie, are here, but we have people from Yale, Rutgers, NYU that teach, that have been teaching out in the world and have so much experience and bring it all here in one place. It's pretty incredible. Charlie's been the best teacher I've ever had, hands down, because not only do the great artists hang on the walls here, and I feel like I have a sense of watching what we're doing, and improving or disapproving. I'm talking about personally, but we're introduced to the idea of specificity and the pursuit of that clarity, But and then Charlie, the acting. With the acting technique in the acting room, we just come back to those every day, and Charlie is the bar holder, and he holds it very strongly, If you're bringing in something great, then he's riveted, and you can see that he's passionate about acting, which ultimately means he's passionate about human behavior, and what drives people and people in general, in human situations, and watching that nuance and subtlety play out, watching a brave actor, dangerous actor, but if you're coming in, you're boring, you're pedestrian, you haven't done your work, get ready for the whip, because that's how it's going to go, and it's a great whip. He does it very well, you come back, but he will not settle for anything less than what he sees as your best. And maybe you don't see it at the moment, but he will pull it out of you, and that's what great teachers do.
To get more information about the acting studio and the 2-year acting program, contact the studio directly by calling 917-789-1599.